What kind of person lets strangers onto your land to kill the one thing you love most? That's the question I was chewing on when I heard the crack of a rifle echo across my ranch one frosty morning. Not the usual hum of wine through the pines or the chatter of my neighbor's chickens losing their minds. This was sharp, deliberate, and wrong. It didn't bounce off the hills like a hunter's shot in deer season. It came from inside my fence line, my sanctuary. I'm the sheriff, have been for years, and I know a gunshot like I know my own heartbeat. But this one? It twisted my gut. 20 minutes later, when I found Titan, my 12-point buck, the one I'd raised from a shaky-legged fawn after a logging truck took his mama, lying dead in a pool of blood on the snow, I knew this wasn't just a stray bullet. This was a declaration of war. My name's Cole Tanner, and I never wanted trouble. I'd hung up my badge for the big cases, traded midnight raids and standoffs for black coffee on the porch and tinkering with my old Ford. My ranch, tucked just outside the manicured grip of the Pine Crest Meadows Homeowners Association, was my peace. But Lisa Hammond, the HOA president, had a different idea of peace. For her, it was color-coded recycling bins and newsletters that read like military orders. My place, with its weathered barn and wildflower patches, didn't fit her VY shown of suburban perfection. It started smell a note, not even a proper letter, stuffed in a reused kombucha bottle and left at my gate like some eco-friendly threat. Your fence encroaches on HOA-maintained land. Please rectify. Best, Lisa. I chuckled, used it to prop up my creaky porch table, and figured that was that. But Lisa wasn't the type to let things slide. She had time, a superiority complex, and a laser printer that never quit. Soon, citations started showing up, taped to my fence like wanted posters. Violations for unkempt native vegetation, non-compliant fencing, and my favorite, aggressive animal positioning. That'd be Gus, my llama, who just has a face that screams attitude. Pine Crest Meadows didn't like that my land hugged the edge of their pristine development, a rugged outsider to their power-washed paradise. Legally, I wasn't under their thumb, but that didn't stop Lisa from trying to rope me in with her passive-aggressive charm. We'd had words, well, I had words, she had bylaws. The last time we met face-to-face, she mentioned shared trail access behind my south pasture with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I told her the only thing shared back there was coyote scat. She didn't laugh. That pasture was Titan's kingdom. He was a legend around here, massive antlers, gentle as a puppy, smarter than half the folks in town. He never strayed far, never caused a lick of trouble. Kids would sit just to see him, snapping photos as he nibbled apples through the fence like some fairy tale creature. So when I found him that morning, stiff in the snow with a clean bullet hole behind his shoulder, I hit my knees not out of weakness, but because this was personal. Titan was family. Taped to the fence post, where the wire had been cut and clumsily retied, was a flyer. Pine Crest Meadows invites guests for our Wine-Va Wildlife Weekend. That's when the sheriff and me took a back seat, and the cowboy came out swinging. I didn't charge over to Lisa's cul-de-sac right away. That's not my style. You don't douse a fire with kerosene unless you want an inferno. Instead, I made calls to the wildlife department, then to my deputy, Sarah, who's sharp as a tack and has zero patience for HOA nonsense. We found shell casings, the same caliber I'd seen Lisa's cousin toting last spring when he sighted, claiming he was birdwatching, in full camo gear. The guy looked like he was auditioning for a militia, not spotting sparrows. I tracked him to a guest house in Pine Crest. His truck sported a bumper sticker. Hunt hard, love soft. In the bed, under a tarp, was a fresh deer hide, still wet. I asked if he'd bagged anything lately. He grinned, said, "Nailed the beast," and winked. My hand itched for my cuffs, but I held back. You can't arrest someone for being a jackass. You need proof. He had paperwork, though waved it like a flag. Permission from the HOA to hunt the community trail. Signed by Lisa herself. When I confronted her, she gave me that look, head tilted like a puzzled poodle, eyes like a lone shark. "Oh, Sheriff, it's just a mix-up. Our guests were enjoying nature." If a deer crossed onto our land. I cut her off. Titan didn't cross. He was shot on my side. She raised an eyebrow. Can you prove it? Not yet, but I would. Lisa thought the world ran on rules she could bend. Out here, it runs on respect, and she just spit on it. I didn't sleep much after that. Poured my coffee dark as my mood and stared at the empty field where Titan used to graze. He wasn't just a deer, was a constant, a reminder that some things, raised right, grow into something extraordinary. Now he was gone, thanks to Lisa's safari side hustle. I rolled into the sheriff's office in my beat-up Dodge, no sirens, no fuss. Sarah was at her desk, hammering her keyboard like it owed her money. You look like you ate gravel, she said. I tossed the file on her desk. Lisa's cousin? Witness saw his truck by my fence at dawn. Casings matched the rifle he bragged about online. Sarah whistled. Think he targeted Titan? I nodded. Baited, tracked, planned? Lisa handed him the keys. Pro-VYing it was the hard part. Lisa was slick, already whining to the mayor about me, harassing her guests before Titan's body was cold. When the mayor showed up, tie too short and armpits soaked, I knew the drill. Cole, let's cool this down, he stammered. It's a misunderstanding. I leaned forward. Someone shot my deer on my land, and you're talking about cooling down? He gulped. HOA folks. They've got money, politics. I stood. Next time you tell me to back off, bring a warrant or quit. He scurried out, muttering about budgets. That night, I staked out an old shed by my south fence. Crickets hummed, coyotes yipped, but something else caught my eye. The game camera I'd set up was gone, wires snipped clean. Someone was covering tracks. The next day, Sarah dropped a bomb. She dug through HOA records and found a line buried in a meeting note. Vote passed to allow limited wildlife engagement on Greenbelt during select weekends. Translation: hunting, approved 4-3. Lisa and her cronies had voted yes. One name stood out at Thompson, a grumpy retiree who usually abstained to be contrary. I paid at a VY sit. His yard had plastic gnomes and zero shame. Here to cuff me or sell cookies? He asked, robe flapping. I got to the point. Why'd you vote yes on the hunting motion? He sighed. Lisa brought wine and a pie, called it a neighborly gesture. Next thing, I'm signing something about community recreation. Didn't know it meant rifles. Ed pointed me to the HOA's event budget. Sarah found 2 donations, tied to out-of-town names, one matching Lisa's cousin. Lisa was pocketing cash, disguising it as community funds, and selling hunting access. We had motive, money, a paper trail. Now I needed a confession. So I got sneaky. I set up a stink flannel, a borrowed trail cam, and bait near the greenbelt. Signs read, Wildlife Zone, and I played dumb hunter. At dawn, 2 trucks rolled in. A guy scoped the area, made a call. Minutes later, Lisa emerged from the trees in a quilted vest, clipboard in hand, like a general inspecting her troops. I recorded it all. She wasn't just breaking rules, she was running a business on my land, with people who thought laws were optional if you had enough cash and charisma. I didn't arrest her yet. People like Lisa slip through cracks unless you nail them in public. So I called an emergency town hall, used my sheriff's authority to bump Lisa's precious pancake social. She was Lee VYD, cornered me outside the market, while VYing a bag of kale in fury. You're abusing process, she hissed. I smiled. Just GIVYing the town a show. Sarah and I rigged the auditorium projector, speakers, chairs like a PTA meeting, not a takedown. Ed showed up with ledgers and a flask. Keep the booze low, I warned. He grinned. Before or after Lisa implodes? The crowd filed in, sipping coffee, clueless. Lisa sat front row, legs crossed, smiling like a queen. I started soft slides of Titan, kids feeding him, his antlers gleaming in the sunset. Then the gut punch, his body, the casings, my cut fence. Gasps echoed. Lisa didn't flinch. I played drone footage of her guests trespassing, rifles out, laughing. Then my body cam, Lisa smirking. No one checks the greenbelt that early. Finally, audio of her bragging about guaranteed deer sightings. 4 donors. The room froze. Even her buddy in khaki shorts looked sick. Lisa stood, brushing her sweater. This is outrageous. That recording's private. I stepped closer. So are the hunting rights you sold. She spun to her board. This is a witch hunt. Censure him. Ed rose. You're done, Lisa. County attorney's got a subpoena with your name. Chaos erupted, shouts, applause, Lisa banging her thermos, yelling about bylaws. I let her unravel. In the hall, I stopped her. I know about your fake nonprofit, Friends of Fauna. 3 donations from your hunting guests, including a poacher I busted years ago. You laundered access. She blinked, then recovered. Prove it. I would. She was charged that night: conspiracy, poaching, trespass, obstruction. Her cousin folded, his rifle matching the crime. The story exploded: news, blogs, a headline. HOA's deadly game. The HOA collapsed. Board members quit, their lawyer begged for a plea. The greenbelt became public land, free of Lisa's grip. She tried a Zoom press conference, claiming she was framed, but her Wi-Fi died mid-rant, Leah VYing her frozen mouth agape. I didn't gloat. I stood in Titan's pasture, where grass was reclaiming the blood-stained earth, and placed a photo of him with local kids at the tree where he napped. The HOA signs came down, one by one, like a bad dream fading. Lisa vanished for a bit, rumors said Arizona, plotting a comeback. Things settled. The HOA fractured, too weak to pick fights. Deer returned, cautious but there. I planted wildflowers, not for hunting, but for life. I never named another buck. Titan was enough. Then Sarah showed up one spring morning, smirking, a folder in hand. Inside, a deed: Lisa had bought the lot next to my pasture. A week later, her voice drifted over the fence, planting roses in perfect rows, while VYing like we were old pals. Sheriff Cole, or just Cole now, she chirped. I stared. You're back. She shrugged. Free country. Needed a fresh start, my rustic phase. I bit back a retort about her poaching ring and walked away. She wasn't worth round 2. Soon, packages Aravedmix, a banner. Roses and Redemption, the true Pine Crest story. Her podcast flopped in 3 episodes, too close to confessing crimes. Her mediation workshops drew no one. Meanwhile, I got the greenbelt named Titan's Trail, a wildlife center for kids. A plaque read, "In memory of the buck who united us." Someone left Apples Weekly. I caught Lisa on the trail once, glaring at the sign. We passed in silence, 2 scarred fighters on neutral ground. I hoped she'd learned something. Then she petitioned to rename it. Hammond Harmony Path. Denied, stamped, done. I laughed for days. One evening, coffee in hand, I watched a young buck stride from the woods, smaller than Titan, but bold, sniffing near the plaque. Stay wild, I muttered. Sarah pulled up, tossing me a file, a wildlife ranger job offer. Ready for more? She asked. I glanced at the horizon. Another HOA was stirring, eyeing a duck pond on protected land. I groaned, but nodded. Yeah, I'm in. The fight wasn't over, but this was my land, my home. And no one, not even Lisa, would take that away.